How come immigrants who come from ex-communist states or communist civil wars in the U.S. are anti-communist? Because these are the families, like, for example, in the Vietnam War, which took the side of who? Of the fucking elites. So they came and immigrated to America, trying to bring their bullshit to America on behalf of their interest at home, because they want to regain all the shit they lost. They brought all their bitterness and resentment. That's fucking why. And we sponsored them with the CIA. I want us to become anti-immigrant, but not against Mexicans, but against all these fucking tethers who come from foreign countries and try and make our country go fucking settle their business. Let's fucking deport every single anti-communist immigrant group. The very few people who make it to America from ex-communist states who are against communism are a tiny, tiny minority of their own people. They're not representative of their own populations. The overwhelming majority of people who live under communism think communism is better than the alternative. But there are exceptions, particularly in Europe. And we're going to talk about those exceptions, and we're going to talk about the reasons for them. There is a real thing where somebody's like, yeah, I got a Polish buddy, and they told me about communism, and oh my God, it was so bad in Poland. So if they're here and they're anti-communist, there's a simple reason for that. A, they were some kind of political activist, some kind of political actor that came to the U.S., not representative. Or B, they just came to the U.S. and realized the U.S. is just better to live in than fucking Poland is. And yes, it was. The U.S. probably, in terms materially speaking, the best quality of life anywhere. And I don't want to eat my words on that, but pretty sure that was the case. Every country had a lot of catching up to do to the U.S. And we were untouched by World War II. We already had a long industrialization going. We didn't have all this feudalism nonsense. We had a civil war to get rid of slavery. We had a lot of investment from Britain for industrialization. It's not the case anymore, but I'm saying if you're coming from a communist country, for example, if you're coming from Cuba and you come to the U.S., Cuba's a shithole compared to the U.S. Yeah, it's because of capitalism, right? That's the thing. That's not the fucking case. That's not because of capitalism, because even if the U.S. was a communist system, you would still see it be way better than all these other countries. And why? Because our level of productive forces is higher. Our level of wealth is higher. Our natural resources are higher, but most importantly, the productive forces here are way more developed than anywhere in the world. World War I and World War II have a lot to do with that, by the way, because Europe used to be number one, then they got decimated. We were the last one standing, right? Nobody's ever fucking invaded us or destroyed our shit. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons, right? Nobody's denying the U.S. is one of the best places on earth to live, but that's not because of capitalism. As a matter of fact, when you analyze the factors that lead to the U.S. doing as well as it did for its people in the last century, you have to come to terms with a few things. One, heavy state planning. The free market capitalism brought us to 1929. That was not doing us any favors. Our forms of central planning were also, and an organization were also more developed. And that wasn't because of capitalism. That was because of central planning. And in terms of the quality of life for the average Joe, yeah, you fucking bet your ass you can thank unions for that. Thank the labor movement for that. People say, Haas, isn't America so great? Well, yeah, first of all, of course it is. But then they say, second, like, isn't it so prosperous for its people in like the 50s and 60s, 70s, Wasn't it? And I'll say, yeah, it was. You're right, it was. But you need to understand that's only because Americans got a bigger slice of the pie. That wealth was still there. Why'd they get a bigger slice of the pie? Because they had a way, way stronger labor movement. We had a New Deal. We had an actual competent government that felt like there was a public interest to enforce. So when we analyze the factors that led to the dissolution of America, led to the decline in manufacturing jobs, led to this overgrowth of this monstrous government bureaucracy, led to the stagnation of our productive forces and the development of the real economy, you're going to have to reckon with the fact that it's the contradictions of capitalism and it's the class war raised by the ruling class against the working class that's responsible for these things. Therefore, communism is the solution. Anyone who's trying to compare the U.S. in the fucking 70s to Poland is being dishonest. But let's ask the tricky question. Why is it that so many Eastern Europeans resent communism? And I'll answer it. The truth is that it's not true. The average Eastern European, if you go to their country and ask them genuinely, was it better under communism or was it better now? No, it might be a mixed bag, but it's not going to be overwhelmingly in favor of now. I'll tell you that. A whole hell of a lot of people are going to reminisce on the aspects of the superiority of life under communism and how there were a lot of things that were better under communism. There were problems, sure, but the introduction of neoliberalism was a disaster for these countries. Most Eastern European countries did worse. So look at ex-Yugoslavia. It's doing worse. Look at most of Eastern Europe. It's doing worse. Look at the ex-Soviet Union. It got hit the hardest. Take Ukraine, for example. It only got to 56% of where it was in 1989 by 2022, before Putin's invasion. Can you fucking believe that? 56% of where it was in 1989. Yeah, no wonder there's all these Nazis rising up there, because they're looking for scapegoats and they have all these fucked up problems because communism is gone. And that creates so much chaos and anarchy and nationalism, bitterness, nonsense. There is one exception, besides Belarus, of course, which didn't adopt neoliberalism. Belarus did fairly well, but it only did second best. Which country in Europe, and from which country are you hearing this bullshit? I lived under communism. It was so much worse than... What country is that? The answer is Poland. Poland is the only fucking country that did better. than where it was before. Why is it that Poland has done better than under communism? Moreover, was Poland bad under communism? First and foremost, Poland was the best that it could be under communism without being a leech. End of communism is a disaster for Poland. I'm going to tell you why. Poland under communism was good, and I can prove it to you. Solidarność, look at its minimal program in the 80s. They were promising keeping socialism. Nobody was saying they want to go to capitalism, they want to get rid of socialism. They were just selling people this bullshit myth with the help of certain forces. I don't want to offend anyone, but it's just a fact of democracy. They weren't promising neoliberalism or capitalism. So it begs the question, why has Poland done better than it was under communism now? And it has. Poland has done better now than where it was under communism. That's why this anti-communist gibber is coming from Poles most of all, both in the US and abroad. If you go to Poland and ask an average person on the street, how was communism? These Poles will go, communism is the worst thing. We are Western, sir. We are Western. We are Western civilization, sir. We love liberal democracy, sir. Oh, yes, sir. We are Western country, sir. Poland, cradle of Western civilization, sir. We are outposts defending Aryan Western civilization from Russian Mongolic hordes, sir. We are Poles. We are Polish. Yes, sir. Britain love us, sir. We go clean toilets, sir. I told you he's going to be racist. Why is that? Why did, of all these other countries, there's shitholes after communism. You know, communism was the one bringing the industry, and there's production, and there's jobs, and at least there's development going on. After communism, it just becomes a shithole. Everybody leaves. Rampant prostitution, drugs, and crime. It's a huge shithole. Why is Poland the exception? Well, what if I told you that under the typical right-wing American definition, Poland has never left communism? In fact, Poland has adopted an even more aggressive form of communism than it had before. At least if you listen to Fox News and their definition of communism. Now, how is that? I'll tell you. Poland is a fucking leech. All Poland has done is redistribute the wealth from the EU and use it to just fund their own economy. And that's why Poland's doing better. Poland is redistributing the wealth from Western Europe and using that wealth to make Poland better. Poland contributes a net negative to the EU. Poland has taken, what, 250 billion from the EU, and they've only contributed about 77 billion back. So they've taken way more than they've given back. They've taken excesses of capital and used it to prop themselves up. Now, it's a big mystery why this was. But anyone trying to tell you that Poland is growing because of capitalism is lying. Poland's not growing because of capitalism. It's growing because of EU socialist welfare, because they're just leeching off the fucking EU, redistributing the wealth from Germany and the productive nations, and using it to fucking finance themselves. Yeah, anyone can become a nice, prosperous, wealthy country if they fucking do that. All this neo-Nazi Polish gibber nonsense is presupposing the fact they have Western sugar daddies. In other words, they presuppose Soros's color revolution, and they're getting greedy. They're going, they're taking all this fucking money from Western Europe, and it's gassing them up, making them feel like they're these superior Aryan race. And they go, we want more, sir. We want more, sir. As a matter of fact, we are suckers that we want to even be more Western than the Westerners by going full Hitler. They're so excited about becoming the sugar baby of Western Europe that they're even embarrassing Germany. The Poles are going, no, Germans, we love you so much. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss, Germany. This is Poland. I'd help the Germans, the hardworking Germans, subsidizing the stupid Polish national project. They go, we want to do the intermarium. We're going to do the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Yeah, do it yourself, though. Under communism, believe it or not, countries were doing it themselves. Even though you were in the Eastern Bloc and the Warsaw Pact, the USSR could only help you out so much. And a lot of these countries had to pay reparations to the USSR. So East Germany, under communism, all the shit they built, they did it themselves. You understand? Hungary, all the shit they built, they did it themselves. Poland is actually similar. They were doing that themselves. And yeah, I know there's a parasitical relation with German banks. I get that. But we need to come to terms with the fact. Poland is like an exception to this debt colonialism from the EU. For some reason, Poland is an exception to degrowth. And we need to ask ourselves why. Why is Poland being propped up? Why can't Poland do the same? I'll tell you why. Because Hungary has not been benefiting from the EU like Poland has. So Hungary realizes, hey, we need to get a little closer to BRICS because the EU is not representing our economic interests. So that's why. That's why Hungarians are not as disgusting as in their politics as Poles are. Poland is the worst of the West. It's just like anti-communism plus Nazis plus all the libtard woke shit. They're so progressive and they're ready. Romania is the same as, well, it's not the same as Hungary, but Romania, you ask Romanians, every Romanian I've talked to said communism was better. Because Romania has become a debt slave. Everybody's fucking leaving it because nobody's actually developing the productive forces in Romania. But here's the question. Poland is the one exception. For some reason, the globalists said, we're going to gas up Poland and prop up Poland. Why the fuck is that? Well, I have an idea. You know why I think Poland is the exception? I think this is America's doing. Guys, NAFO comes from Poland, like 60%. Now, do I hate Poles? Do I hate Poland? No, I don't. But it's very clear the globalists are trying to prop up Poland. Now, does that sound familiar to you? Why are the globalists propping up Poland so much? Europe's coming military superpower, Poland. Why? Look at that. Look at this. Poland says its army will soon be the strongest in Europe. What? Oh, I get it. I get it. They're doing the thing to Poland that they did to Germany in the 30s, where they're propping it up and gassing it up because Starbucks.
Because Poles hate the Russians and they have a lot of bodies and are willing to fight. Germans are not willing to fight.
And yeah, and it's the geopolitical position as well. And then you take into account the pipeline politics. And Mila.
Yes. The Gray Zone has amazing exposes on Poland.
Yep.
They have a huge lobby and an insane intelligence.
Yeah, nobody, you guys don't realize this?
They're involved in so much nefarious stuff worldwide.
Poland has a crazy lobby in the US, the Polish lobby. It's really insane, you know? You know, for only 2.7% of the population, they have such an outsized influence on US politics. See, I'm gonna just be real. Poland is Europe's Israel. All these JQers will never fucking talk about Poland. I already talk about Israel. Fuck Zionism and fuck Israel. But fuck those Polish Zionists too. Fucking tethers coming here trying to influence our policy and steer policy in the direction, for example, of admitting Poland into NATO. Of course, it wouldn't have been done if there wasn't some deep state agenda behind it as well. But nobody talks about that shit, right? Nobody talks about the PQ. It's very clear that there's a lot of growing hostility and tensions between the USA and Germany. Germany and France are trying to pursue a more independent direction from the USA, specifically through the EU. But who made this happen, I couldn't tell you. The US has embarked on an open and explicit mission to prop up Poland. Prop up Poland to be the new center of Europe, not Germany. And they're going to try to use Poland as the next Germany to do what? To break up and destroy Russia? To stop China's plans for the Belt and Road Initiative in Europe with its 3 Seas initiative instead? Poland is the pet project of the globalists in the 21st century. And not a lot of people are paying attention to this. Poland is a welfare queen of the European Union. None of its success is independent. Any country that's leeching that much and getting a free pass could be propped up and developed. But that doesn't mean this is Poland's sovereign decision. If you're Polish and you're saying, okay, Haas, what should I do if I'm Polish? No, because there is still a way to reciprocate Poland's national self-interest, which is this. I get that living standards in Poland have increased, but ask yourself the question, is it worth Poland being this geopolitical tool to take down Russia? I mean, put it this way. Oh my God, Poland under communism was so bad compared to now, where it's in NATO, and at any moment it's on the brink of being annihilated with nuclear missiles. The security situation for Poland now is fucking insane. It has probably never been more precarious in its history, besides 39, in modern history at least. At no point under the Warsaw Pact was Poland in as much danger as it is now. Poland is being, yeah, they're getting a bunch of candy and nice shiny things, but make no fucking mistake, Poland is being put and placed in a very, very fucking dangerous position. A very dangerous position.